Hey guys, today I thought I'd talk about cryptocurrency in terms of trading. Um, in the TC2000, I'm going to look at the ETH ETF or trust and the GBTC. Um, I've got some moving averages here as usual. I've got the 21 EMA, the 50, and the 200 MA moving averages, simple moving average. And, I like them to be in an uptrend of the 50 and the 200, sloping up above the 21 EMA. This is kind of the main, you can see when you get these big spikes, then you have the decline of the 21 and below the 50, even below the 200. So ideally, they're in the right order, 21 above the 50, above the 200. So you're going to miss some early gains if you use moving averages. They're a bit of a, it's they react a bit slow sometimes. They're a lagging indicator. But I've also got the MACD here, price percent oscillator, which shows momentum. And then down here, I've got relative strength versus the S&P 500. So I've been using this to make sure that even though things might be in an uptrend, I want to see if they're doing better or relative to this S&P. Because sometimes something might go up like a bond or a utility or something, and it's not really you know that high of a gain compared to the S&P. So it's always good to check that. You can also compare anything. You can, depending on what your benchmark is, but S&P is usually used. So this is really nice. I've done other videos where I explain how I set this up, and these also have moving averages, so you can sort of see the trend. So if you want to get a free trial or $25 off, you can use my discount code in the description below. I've got watch lists here, all sorts of different scans, and I've added columns here. Like here, I've got a 3-month and a 1-month gain. I can see if the relative strength is in an uptrend. So there's conditions as well as values. So you can put a value, like a calculation, or you could put a condition just to check marks. And then you can sort if you want to just look at things that, check off a box that you have. So these are easy ways to find the best stuff. And then you can scan as well. So if I click this check box, it'll filter any watch list by whatever criteria you have. So in this case, I have I'll just show you strong relative strength. So I put the moving average of the 50 the 50 is above the 200. So sometimes, even though it's in an uptrend, it's like an early thing where the 50 down here, the 50 is below the 200. So if you want to get just things that have the 50 above the 200, this is the relative strength should be above the 50, like this actual line of relative strength. So sometimes it dips below. And then the 21 above the 50. So that's kind of like, basically in the right order. So this is that would be the strongest possible setup. And you can do that for stocks over here on the left here. I have a strong chart scan for all stocks and all ETFs. This is just my own sector ETFs that I have selected, but this is like all the US common stocks. This one is all the exchange traded funds. So we're looking for strong charts, which means the 50 is above the 200. The relative strength is in an uptrend here, and it's above the 50. Now this, you can see here the 50 is not quite crossed up over the 200 in terms of the relative strength, but here, the normal moving averages are in the right order. But anyways, I wanted to talk about crypto. Bitcoin's been recovering from this recent pullback, but I like to see, I like to see it up above the 50. This 50 is starting to slope down. I like to see an upslope. So you had this big, huge run, and then sometimes you get stuck in this sort of consolidation phase, and people try to jump in maybe too early. So you can see here the momentum in terms of the price percent oscillator MACD is in a downtrend here. In the relative strength, is below here, and it's kind of in this downtrend as well. So this one I would probably wait, in terms of trading. But if you're buying and you're holding and you buy dips and stuff, of course that's possible. You can do that. The other one that's well, in the States is the ETH, and this one's the strongest crypto. Not crypto, but the main cryptos. And you can see here that the 21 EMA is above the 50 and the 50 is above the 200. Down here in the relative strength, we have this big, huge uptrend. The 21 is above the 50 and the 200. So this is like the perfect scenario. The only issue right now for me is that this is quite high, up off of the moving averages. So you can see that I've got these little lines here, which are the low points. So those are good entry points, and they give you sort of a place to put your stop. So once you identify, like say the stock was coming up like this, you wait for a pullback. Right around here you buy, and then that would give you your stop. But once you get up here and you want to buy, you'd have to set a higher stop. Like if you see this sort of spot here, you'd have to have a lot higher point as your stop. You don't want to have it way down there because that percentage. So in TC2000 it's kind of nice. I can draw a line 48% down to there. So if you're buying it up here, you have to be in cryptos. You have to be willing to take. You have to be dealing with larger volatility. So if you're putting a stop at like 5 or 10% below, you're probably going to get stopped out a lot. But this stop is way down here. So it's you got to look back at these stocks charts and see where you would have bought. If you break a downtrend here, you're crossing the MACD. This would have been, I put an arrow here, it would have been a perfect spot. But once you're in this nice uptrend and you see a pullback near the 21 EMA, you could buy here and then it could pull down and cross that and then you would lose, but your percentage wouldn't be huge. So you got to kind of get used to waiting and being patient for spots. If you decide to buy up higher off of the moving average, like up here, you have to figure out before you buy where you're going to put your stop. So like, for example, if you bought up here, say somewhere here, and you put a stop there, you would get stopped out way down here. And then the next question is, when are you going to sell? If you're trading, like, of course, do you have a percentage? Do you have some sort of candlestick pattern? You have to decide, you're just going to ride it out until it comes back. So that you're not going to win every trade. If that reversed on you, like you have a nice uptrend here, and then it triggered, you could wait for your next opportunity. And then as long as you get higher highs and higher lows, you could hold this. But once you establish this low point, you probably want to sell if it came back down over that low. I'm going to flip over to TradingView because TC2000 doesn't have all the cryptos. It's just kind of like the ETFs and the stocks. But in Canada, just another point, there's ETFs, actual ETFs. So Bitcoin, because they're fairly new, the charts they're not great in terms of the data. So I'll look at other charts, even if I have this particular ETF. But you can buy the actual crypto as well. But you can use the charts, to determine if you're going to trade. That is. But so these initial ones, there's one for Ethereum as well. They're not great in terms of using them to evaluate purchasing, timing and stuff like that. So if we go to TradingView, what you want to get into is you have this long base period flat, and then you get this nice uptrend. And you can see here that we've been in a bit of it's a bit of an increase depending on where you get in and out and where you bought, but there's been a consolidation phase here. You can see like here you'd think, oh, it's starting to come back up again, and then it came back down and starting to come back up again here. But it is somewhat of a flat consolidation period. And you can see the moving average, the 50 is fairly flat. It's starting to curl up again now. So this one could be good, but it's a little bit flat. So when you have this big, huge run, a lot of times people you know, you want to get that run again, but it might take time to develop again. So, you know, if you see something that had a really big run and it's flat or it's pulled back, you might want to just go on to something else. Another one, there's a whole ton of obviously cryptocurrencies. Monero, you know, you can see here you're fairly close to the 50, then you come up, pull back. So hopefully, so basically I've got a line here for Monero. If you bought around here, like when you see it kind of flat, you could buy it here, and then this would be your stop. But obviously this is high up off of the moving averages. So ideally you want to look back and see, like when you have this break of this downtrend or this break here, I can put a line just to make it, you know, oops. You start to see this break. It also coincides with the MACD crossover here. You get this good run. Here, similarly, you have a MACD cross and it's above the 50 again, and this is right at the 50. So those are the entry points. When you start getting up here, you know, the risk is higher. So just thought I'd point out interesting sort of ways when you have these low points that you can use those as your stop. And so obviously with crypto, you're going to have more volatility, so you might have to widen those out. You don't have to put actual stops, like these can be alerts that you set. And so that's what I like about in TC2000. You can either draw a line and you can right click and set an alert at a price, or when it crosses a certain moving average. So if I go, let's just pick a different, so if I say on this average 50 here, I can set an alert when it crosses the 50 or whatever. So you open up this, all sorts of different possibilities. And so you don't have to have a physical stop at to trigger, because sometimes you get stopped out and then the stock will go back up, or the ETF or whatever it is. So hopefully that helps. Just wanted to talk a little bit about cryptocurrency. So right now my general feeling is they're obviously strong, but I feel like it's a bit heated right now, and so you have to be a little bit careful. But if you get opportunities like on pullbacks and things, like Ethereum I was mentioning, I mean, obviously it's in a nice uptrend, but I feel that you know, I would like to wait for a pullback if you're getting into a new position. All right, guys, hope that helps. We'll talk to you later. Don't forget you can get TC2000 in the description below. See you guys.